Can you start an audio business at 40 years old? Yeah, of course you can. You start at any age. It's just somewhat harder and a little bit more difficult. And the reason I say that is because I'm 39. I'll be 40 in a couple of months. Um, Now, I really wouldn't like to start this business now, and the reason being for that is, I've been running this company for 14, coming up, yeah, 14 years. We're coming up to in October will be 14 years. Um, it's 14 years ago compared to now is very, very different. It's so different. Um, what I created or what we created 14 years ago, there was no one doing it. We were the first. So we were the first to have this kind of online only online only mixing and mastering studio service. There were kind of studios that dabbled in it, uh, but none, they still had attended services. We never had anything attended. We went, right, we're going to take a studio and we're going to build it online. Bang. That worked 14 years ago and it just exploded and was brilliant. Now the problem is everyone copied us. COVID made everyone kind of copy that model. So everybody had to look at us and go, right, okay, we got to copy the Audio Animals model. And there's lots of people who I look at who do a similar service to us, and they copy us down to a T. They copy our pricing structure, they copy our kind of our whole model, they copy our advertising strategies, they copy everything that we do. They copy, and it's. I was asked the other day because someone sent me a screenshot of a Facebook advert that looks identical to ours, same pricing, identical to ours, and they said like they was laughing about it to me, and I said, look, I'll be honest, I see it as a compliment, right? When people, I don't like it. I don't like when people copy me, because I don't copy other people. Just do your own thing, but I do see it as a slight compliment in some ways. Um, but having, if I had to start now this whole company again, it'd be really difficult. Really, really difficult, because it's the problem I have, and the problem I would have being 40 years old would be that if I was starting a business at 40, I've got so many people depending on me. I've got 2 kids, I've got a wife, I've got a mortgage, and there's a lot of dependence on me to provide and to have to be successful, and it doesn't always work out a success. Before Audio Animals, me and Nick, we had 2 businesses, and they didn't succeed. And this is the thing: is you do have to pick the right time to do a business, and I think we picked the right time. Me and Nick personally, what were we? We were probably 26. We still wanted to go out and we still wanted to do things. We were still young, but we weren't so young that we were out every weekend and we didn't want to work. The problem we had before we started this business was that we wanted to be out. We wanted to be out raving. We wanted to be out till 6 o'clock in the morning every weekend at raves at Fabric and SE1 and Coco and all these different raves. We wanted to be there. We wanted to be doing all that. Which meant that when you got home at 8 in the morning, you slept all weekend. Whereas when we got to the age of 26, we were kind of not done with that. We still kind of done that, but a little bit, but it was more of a once a month thing. Then when it came to starting a business, we were full steam ahead. We were in that business. It's that's the sort of mentality you're going to have when you're 40 going into a business. You're going to have that mentality of it has to succeed and you've just got to go for it. And you're not going to be going out partying. Well, I wouldn't think so anyways. But you're going to be focused. So you are going to give yourself the best ability to get it to work at 40. The major problems are that you've got all these expenses. For instance, when you're young, when you're 18, if you're starting a business at 18, you can start that business from your bedroom at your mum and dad's house. You've got zero overheads, so things can trickle along. They don't have to do as well. It's very easy to start that business. The problem you have when you're 18 compared to when you're 40 is a lot more people, especially in the music industry, will take a 40-year-old seriously in comparison to an 18-year-old. It's as well things like this. If I was sitting here talking to you and behind me was a pair of KRK speakers and a laptop, you wouldn't listen to me in the same way that you do when there's 500 grand's worth of equipment behind me. That this is the difference. Is there's you when you've show if you've shown that you have achieved something and you've accumulated kind of a studio like this, you are taken that little bit more seriously. So when someone's 18 sitting in front of kind of just a pair of Nearfields and a keyboard and not really got anything to show, you kind of got to get the lighting right in the video, and it's more about you and not focused, not getting you haven't got all this kind of backdrop behind you, things like that. Whereas maybe when you're 40s, a little bit older, you've kind of got you've amassed some equipment over that period of time, and you've got something you can show behind you, or a nice studio, for instance. The other thing is like, just generally, if you look young, it's very difficult for someone in their 60s to look at someone who's 18, 19, 20 and go, yeah, I want to work with them, because they're not going to say that. And that's the brutal, honest truth. It's like a 20-year-old might look at an engineer who's in his 50s and go, yeah, I'd love to work with him. He's experienced. He's got all this experience. He's done it for all these years. Whereas a 50-year-old looking at an 18-year-old would go, well, he's not experienced. It's kind of, it's a baby in the whole grand scheme of what you need to learn as an audio engineer. Could be the best engineer in the world. It doesn't matter, because appearance is a lot. So yeah, with regards to being able to start a business at 40, yes, you can. You just have slightly different problems. Now, I found the prime age for me was around 26. Starting a business at 26 was really good for me, because I didn't have any dependents. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have any kids at the time. I met my wife 2 years into this business. And the reason that was good was because she met me when I was like full steam ahead. I was just like, I think one of the first things I ever said to my wife was, when I met her, was, sorry if I'm kind of a bit not talkative, but I haven't been out of the studio for a few weeks, and you become a bit of a recluse when like, you haven't seen sunlight for a while. And it was like that. I was kind of really at the studio a lot in the early kind of building this whole business up. Yeah, the rest is history. Look, I won't go into that. But the thing with my wife, and what was good about that, was she met me kind of, let's say, at my kind of worst in a way, and she understood what all this was all about, and how kind of into my job I was. Because that's hard for some people to get their heads around, that someone can actually love their work and want to work. Like I was doing in the early days of our business, I was doing, basically what I'd do is I'd work until I couldn't work anymore. and then I'd have a sleep on the floor, and then I'd wake up when I woke up, which was usually a couple of hours, and then I'd work and work and work and work. And it was like that for a good few years. We would work like that, me and Nick, and we would kind of take it in turns. And it was a way of fast tracking the business and getting the business off the ground really fast. And look, we did all the work then. We really worked hard then to reap the rewards later in life. And look, this is the reward of all that hard work. I have all of this, and I've got this double next door. I've got another studio there, which is just as impressive, if not more impressive. Um, but to get back onto the question of starting a business at 40. Now, here's one way that I would highly recommend starting a business at 40 is, and this is what I did, but I did this at 26. What I did was I saved up a year's money. So I saved 1 year's money that I needed. Now, what I needed was the rent for my house. I needed the rent for that, or rather, it was a flat at the time. I needed the rent for that. I needed my car. I didn't have a car payments. I got my phone. I got on a really, really small contract. So it was like £15 a month. I scaled down all my expenses, really scaled them down. I didn't leave the studio. I didn't go out anywhere. I didn't go to parties. I didn't go out drinking. It was all just about staying in, doing as much work as possible and spending as little money as possible. Now, the thing with it was, I saved up enough money to do that for a year, which was a substantial amount of money, but it was sitting there. The theory behind this and what my thinking was okay, now, worst case scenario here, Audio Animals doesn't take off and it flops, and I go back to working in other studios and working for other people, which is fine. But if it succeeds, I've got this business for life, hopefully. The way it worked and the reason it worked was because I could literally do this transitional period of, right, okay, I'm now starting this business. I have this business and I'm going full pelt at this business. Now, it doesn't matter if I fail, because if I fail, I just go back to what I was doing. But I don't have to make, on day one, in the first month, I don't have to make X amount of money straight away, because I haven't got anything. I haven't got any overheads. I've got no overheads, nothing to pay. Now, the good thing about it was what I did was every bit of money that I earned from the business, I picked up and I put straight into advertising, into building the business, buying new gear, advertising, all those sorts of things, just putting more and more and more back into the business. Because I didn't need to take a wage, I didn't take a wage for about it was probably around 2 years. I didn't take a wage for. And the reason for that was that I could then just every bit of money I could pump back into the business, and it fast tracked the business massively. Now, if you're in your 40s, and let's say you've got £2,000 a month mortgage, for argument's sake, save up 24 grand, sit that there, right? There's 24 grand. Then I've got car payments, put that in. Let's say you've got to have together 40 grand. If you've got 40 grand, now what you've done is, say for instance, it all fails. You've just spent 40 grand on a year's holiday, basically, which is nice. But if it doesn't fail, you've just spent 40 grand on setting yourself up for the rest of your life. That's my opinion on it. And that's what I did. And it really worked. I mean, look at me. I'll be honest with you. I'm absolutely living the dream. This is the dream, sitting here in this studio. And yeah, so 100% you can start a business at 40. It's just going to be a little bit difficult and a little bit harder than starting a business at 26. But it's very much possible to do. You just have these difficult situations, but on the same hand, there's some positives. You're older, so you've got a little bit more experience. You're taken more seriously by your peers, I guess. Little things like that. So there's pros and cons to this. But yes, you can start a business anytime you want. Some of the best businessmen in the world, they started their businesses at like 50. There's no reason you can't start anytime. You just have different challenges based on how old you are and where you are in life as well.